Okay, I thought I'd go and make a video. I gotta jump on this topic again because it was after a conversation I had a few days ago with this guy about authenticating the birth certificate, and a few lights went off after I said a few things, and things that I hadn't said before in a video. So I thought I'd just kind of point out some of these things to help you understand that authenticating this in order to change your status, correct your status. As you learn more, you'll learn that you're doing this in vain. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. A lot of things I did when I was first starting, I did this maybe 6 or 7 times. And each time I did my son's too. So I did multiple certificates of live birth throughout the years, multiple times. So this is like the easiest thing to do. And you might even be being charged a couple $100 or whatever for somebody to do this for you. And it takes nothing but time. It costs you everything under maybe $100, maybe $50 to get it done all the way on the federal level. If you're just mailing it there. But why are you doing it though? And we get it from Minnesota Rule of Practice 22. I'm gonna start with the term authentication. I'm just gonna start with that, so you understand what do you mean by authentication. And I'm also show you what the Office of Authentication at the U.S. the Department of State, what they have to say. If they tell you something and you want to follow the gurus and you want to be a dumbass, and that's on you. But I'm gonna show you what the Department of State, what they say about authenticating the birth certificate. Here we go. Authentication. In regards to contracts or other documents, authentication means to sign or to execute documents. See? To sign or to execute the document. That's all it means. That's all it means to authenticate something. Okay? It's to prove the authenticity of something. Okay? Let me see if I can find this on maybe Black's Law or something. Black's Law a lot of times have a website. I like to read so you can see you get more. Here we go. That Black's Law? Let's see. They didn't get it from nope. But it means that's also a good definition though. To establish as genuine. Okay? To establish the authorship or original of conclusively or unquestionably, chiefly by the techniques of scholarship. Let me try to find Black's Law. Stop playing. Here we go. What's this? Cambridge. To prove something is real, true. You get the idea. Most of them telling you the same thing. But you're trying, here we go. Black's Law. Let's see. In the law of evidence, the act or mode of giving authenticity or legal giving an authority or legal authenticity to a statute, record, or other written instrument. So you're giving authenticity to it, giving authority or authenticity to it. Okay. Let's see, or record thereof. So as to tender it legally. To render it legally admissible in evidence. Okay, that's what it means right there. So now we're going to go to Minnesota rule. Here we go. I'm going to read this and you just follow along with me. And I got a question for you once I'm done reading this. Rule 220 birth certificates. The registrar of titles is authorized to receive for registration of memorials upon any outstanding certificate of title an original birth certificate pertaining to the registered owner named in the said certificate of title showing the date of birth of the said registered owner, provided there is attached to the said birth certificate an affidavit of the affiant the affiant, sorry about that, who states that he or she is familiar with the facts recited, stating that the party named in the said birth certificate is the same party is the same party as the one of the owners named in the said certificate of title, and therefore the registrar of title shall treat the said registered owner as having attained the age of majority at the date 18 years after the date of birth shown by the said certificate. Now show me one time, one word, authenticate. If you can see authentication or authenticate anywhere in that whole rule, speak up. Comment, show me where it is. It's not nowhere in this thing. You could pause it for yourself, but you can see for yourself. Nowhere in this thing does it tell you to authenticate anything. Why are you authenticating your birth certificate? Number two questions. Do you live in Minnesota? If you don't live in Minnesota, why are you doing this? Those are the two questions you got to ask yourself. Where do we get off doing this? People combine processes and combine ideas, and they sell it, and it's marketable. Authenticating the birth certificate is very profitable on the internet, because there's always going to be a group of people who they start waking up about this stuff. Not to sound like true, insulting. When I say waking up, don't mean, it's not meant to be insulting. I'm saying some people just don't get this type of stuff. They don't even get into it. They don't take the time to try to look it up and none of that stuff. They're not interested. But then they come to a point where they're like, let me look into this here. And they start asking questions and start looking at more videos that's talking about the straw man and all caps name and U.S. citizen and all that other different stuff that we've been learning. So they come, their lunch meat if they're not willing to study for themselves, and they learn processes that everybody's doing, because everybody's been regurgitating this process. This first process, first thing everybody is supposed to do, authenticate the birth certificate. That's what everybody tell you to do. So you spend probably a good 3 months or so trying to get this done. And then you feel like you can't do shit. You can't do shit else until you get that done first. But where do we get that from? Where do we get that from? No, you're gonna find some of these people that that's out here, they've been teaching this too, and they're gonna probably look at this video and be like, Emeralds don't know what the fuck he talking about. He this, he that, all this negative shit they might say about me. But ask yourself, do they sell processes? Are they selling processes, and is that process one of the processes that he's offering you? That's why he's telling you to do it. That's why he's telling you that it's necessary to do it. I've done this a bunch of times. And I saw on there, it says full faith and credit. People get caught up on that. They see that full faith and credit on here. Okay? Full faith and credit. And they're thinking, when they're in full faith and credit, he's supposed to automatically mean that, they've reached some type of status or whatever once they put that affidavit on there, and the affidavit of ownership, and recorded in the county recorder's office, like we were taught to do. And then you'll learn that you just wasted some money and your time, because the stuff like it's not necessary. But to each his own. If you want to learn the stuff, and some people have other strategies that they may use something like that for other things. I don't know why, for stuff, fighting child support and custody and stuff like that. I've done that stuff and don't work. Okay, now here we go. We're gonna read full faith and credit. Before I read full faith and credit, when I ask you, do you live in Minnesota? Keep in mind, every state have their own flag. They got their own set of rules. They have their own laws. They have their own constitution. They're their own jurisdiction. They're like their own country. Just like Africa has a whole lot of countries within that one continent. Same thing as North America. They got a whole bunch of states. We call them states, but they're like countries technically. So that's why they have their own constitution. And of course, all the constitutions derive from the United States Constitution, but understand the point. It's about jurisdiction. All of them have their own. Now, so I'm gonna read what it says about full faith and credit, so you can see for yourself what full faith and credit actually means. Full faith and credit is the requirement derived from Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution, that state courts respect the laws and judgments of courts from other states. This clause attempts to prevent conflict among states and ensure the dependability of judgments across the country. See, they refer all 50 of them are considered the country, across the country. Okay. This does so by requiring the courts to follow the judgments made on the same judgment on the same issue in another state. Otherwise, individuals could simply go to another state to relitigate issues that did not receive favorable judgments in the previous cases, and this would result in states having different judgments that could cause competition among states. Therefore, the full faith and credit, when they say competition, it makes sense because they say, like if people know that they can get away with something in another state, you'll find them moving and going to that other state. And now they're competing for, members like civilians, people to live there. The community, commerce would drop if people start leaving and they're competing for customers all of a sudden. That's what they are, damn all civilians. Customers, because without the people, the business can't thrive. Anyway, therefore, a full faith and credit clause prevents this kind of relitigation under the doctrine of res judica and issue preclusion, as long as the state issuing the original judgment had jurisdiction to do so. The same principle applies to certain kinds of laws among different states, like marriage. While the full faith and credit clause typically applies, sometimes courts may disregard the judgments of other courts based on the prior court not having jurisdiction or following constitutionally required procedures. For example, a court in New York may ignore the judgment from California where the defendant was never properly served. Okay, so that's what they mean by full faith and credit. You guys that are on child support should understand the full faith and credit clause anyway, because that's what they say about child support orders. So if you living in Georgia and you get put on child support in Georgia and you move to another state, I go move to Wyoming somewhere. They find out that there's a judgment order for child support. They're going to find out through your social anyway. That you're on there's a judgment order against your name, that straw man name, that your state name for child support. You go get a job down there, they're gonna garnish your wages from there. Most of you guys already know that. That's why they're able to do it, because that order has the same effect. It's full faith. They have the full faith. And it's gonna credit them. They're gonna credit the judgment in another state just like they would that state. So they can use that judgment in any state across America. So can't run from a judgment or order. If there's a warrant in another state, you got a warrant for, say, child support or robbery or something like that, selling drugs, whatever, and they got a warrant for your arrest. One state can find out you got a warrant in another state, and most likely that officer will arrest you and they'll deport your ass back, send your ass back to that state where your warrant is at. So they work together to keep these judgments honored, in honor, especially when they know that the person who actually uses that name, they're attached to it, is in their possession. Okay, now I want to I think I already read authentication, but I'm going to read something from the actual Department of State website. It's what they say. So you'll see for yourself what these people are saying that the birth certificate is for when you authenticate. Right here. See right here, I am at the ustravel.gov. That's where you get your passport at. Okay, same place. Okay, they deal with countries all around the world. They deal with all the countries. Okay, so for foreign affairs is what they call it. I don't want to change the topic, but that's what they deal with. They deal with all the countries around the world. Office of Authentication. What do? The Office of Authentication issues both apostilles and authentication certificates if you need the U.S. Department documents to be authenticated. Please refer to the United States to the Office of Vital Records. The Office of Authentication provides signed certificates of authenticity for a variety of documents to individuals, institutions, and government agencies to be used abroad. That's what the document is for. When you get it authenticated on the federal level, that document is to be used abroad. That means in another country. As you see right here in Title 22, it says abroad. The term abroad means any area outside the United States. Okay? Outside the United States. In case you get caught up on U.S. person, I went to the same title where you saw that definition, 22, same title, U.S. person. As used in this chapter, the term U.S. person means a United States citizen or alien admitted for permanent residence, in the United States, and any corporation, partnership, or other organization organized under the laws of the United States. This is all commercial anyway. That's why they're still using, U.S. persons. They talk about, partnerships, corporations. But you see, it's all for commercial purposes. Doing business with other countries. Other countries somewhere else. They want to use it. That's where they're going to use this document. Oh, let me finish reading. I don't want to get thrown out. I almost did. Okay, here we go. Apostille authenticates the seal and signatures of officials on public documents such as birth certificates, court orders, or any other document issued by the federal agency for the certificate by the United States, by United States or foreign counsel. Now, here we go. The country in which the document will be issued will be used determines the type of certificate needed. This is why they ask you guys what country when you go in there, and they always tell you to choose a country that's not within the Hague Treaty, that don't participate in the Hague, because you want something to be outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. See, apostille is for documents to be used in countries that participate in the Hague, in the 1961 Hague Convention Treaty. See, for the document to be used in one of those countries. Okay? If you choose China, who's not a part of because I use China every time I did it, and you use China, and so you want something for outside the Hague, but you don't know what you mean when you say that. And say authentication certificates are for documents to be used in countries that do not participate. But the thing is, you're not using it outside the United States. You're not using it in another country. Now you got to be for that. Some people on here, and sometimes they'll use words like, you create your own country, and the Republic side is, like say Georgia, the state of Georgia versus Georgia Republic. We'll use that to say that's another country, to try to hold on to this process. When from the start, you read that from Rule Minnesota Rule of Practice in Minnesota. You don't live in Minnesota. Most likely you don't live in Minnesota. Number two, even that rule didn't tell you to authenticate nothing. So where do we get combining those two processes? Where do we get combining them? Not once does it say to combine to authenticate the birth certificate. We were taught to do that. And they use Minnesota rule with it along with somebody else's speech. Unless you're going outside the country, you don't need to authenticate this. Okay? This is not, unless you're going outside the country. Now, show you something else. Let me see if I can find something. I'm just thought about something. Hold on. Yeah, just pick this thing up to read it all over again. When it says, I certify that the document hereunto, annexed under the seal of the state of Georgia. Right here, that's the seal of the state of Georgia, right here. And it's annexed under the seal of the state of Georgia, and that such seals, that seal as well, certified, it says, of the state of, the seal of the state of Georgia, and that the seals are entitled to full faith and credit. So basically, this seal is supposed to be recognized and respected as basically to authenticate this document right here. So when I go, say if I was to go and work overseas or something like that, some work overseas, it's good to have this thing authenticated, because that's where I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use it in a country. Say if I'm gonna have to work in China, then that's what this would look like, and I would need this to show some type of identification. You know what I'm saying? Gotta use it for you use your birth certificate a lot of times to even get a job here in America. You may use a copy of your birth certificate, your social security cards for some jobs. Once you use the social security card, they do that type of stuff. It's for commercial purposes. And besides, do you really want to be up in a country somewhere trapped where some of them still be trafficking people and stuff like that, and you ain't got no ID, you trying to start some business and you got nothing like this here to even show where you from in the world. You say, I'm from America. Well, proof. If you got no ID, your chances are you should have a passport if you got some. You should have a passport anyway, but you get what I'm talking about. This is for use outside of a country, outside of America. So they know that whoever's holding this is what they can use. This document right here can be used. This is an authentic document. This is one of our documents. It's not made up. That's why we put our seal on it, our seal of approval that this is an authentic record. So whoever's carrying that thing and operating under that name, that's he belong here. He belong to us. Okay. So that's what this is for. So all this stuff where we have us is authenticating birth certificates. The Department of State right here, U.S. Department of State, they tell you exactly what it is for you to be used for. So if you want to go and listen to other people and these people telling you, Emeralds then said, these people, the Department of State told you what it's for. And you just sending documents up there talking about you own the birth certificate, you own this and you own that. Your estate is your estate. You don't need that to prove that. That's your estate. Your estate gonna stick with you all the time. That name, that straw man is gonna stick with you. That's what they're gonna put on your tombstone. Unless you change it legally, and that name will be on your tombstone, but you're gonna have a straw man when you leave here. So you're gonna be born, that straw man ain't going nowhere. If you're gonna do some business, you gotta do business with a straw man. You need an entity, a name. The name of your entity is the straw man is the name of your estate. So you're accumulating property with that estate. You know what I'm saying? You're buying this, you're putting your name on that. You have interest in this because you gave your applied information, created applications and certificates and property and deeds and trust, all these different things you've done throughout your lifetime. That's how they determine the value of your estate. So you don't need this to do all that. That's all I'm saying. Understand why you're doing this. Why are you authenticating this birth certificate? And you ain't leaving America. You're going to put an affidavit on it, and you're going to record it in the county recorder's office where you live at. And chances are it's not even in Minnesota. Minnesota is its own country. It's its own jurisdiction. It's its own land. It's part of collectively America, United States of America. But you mean to say if Minnesota was to come crashing down, you can't authenticate nothing? You ain't got no way to correct your status. The whole nation divided is all leaning on that one state to correct your status. That even makes sense when everybody got their own rules, their own laws, their own flag, their own jurisdiction, their own cops, their own governor, secretary of state, their own secretary of state. Let's start looking things up, y'all. I'm gonna get on off this video. Hopefully y'all learn something. Hopefully the wheels turning. And hopefully y'all have a good rest of the week. Y'all hold it down.